Yesterday was an exciting day. We finally started getting chicken eggs again. My chickens have been on strike. During the dark days of winter, they really cut down on how much they lay, or they lay nothing at all. We haven't had fresh eggs here in about 2 months. So I was really excited that we got 6 eggs from our chicken coop yesterday. And that was the perfect way to celebrate with making a Dutch baby German pancake. I want to show you how to do this. This one came out a little flat. They're usually a little fluffier, but it still tasted delicious, and I want to show you how to do this. Super simple, fast. You can make them sweet or savory. It's a quick way to use up extra eggs. Those pretty colored eggs are a sight for sore eyes. Whenever I'm looking for a new recipe, I usually head to Pinterest. This recipe came from the blogger Raspberries and Kohlrabi. I'll put a link to her website in the description, and I'll also copy the recipe. The recipe calls for 6 room temperature eggs, cracked and blended well. The recipe asks you to put them in a stand mixer or use a blender, but I was not feeling like dragging out equipment, so I did them by hand. I think that I should have whipped my eggs a lot longer to make them fluffier because my final product came out a little bit flat. I have to brag about the bowl set I'm using. This is Roseville pottery from Ohio. The big bowl was a gift from my mother-in-law. And then one day I was browsing Facebook Marketplace and I came across the remaining set of 5 for $40. I had to snap it up. To the well-beaten eggs, I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. This is organic vanilla extract from Azure Standard. I'm always talking about Azure because I love that company. I'm not an affiliate, but I just love their products. One of these days I'll film an Azure products unboxing when I pick up my order. Those are very popular on YouTube and I love watching those. Next, the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. I don't use kosher salt, I use Redmond's real salt. It's from a mine in Utah. I also get this from Azure Standard, but any salt will do. You can also go on the Redmond's Real Salt website. They're the only salt mined in America. I like supporting local companies. This salt is full of minerals that are essential. Somehow in filming this video, I left out the part where I put in 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Next, I'm going to add in my sourdough starter. The recipe calls for 1 cup of sourdough discard, and it does not have to be active starter. This is starter that I fed yesterday, so it's not active as of today, but it just is a replacement for some of the flour that the recipe would call for. It gives the recipe a little bit of a tanginess to it. It just adds a depth of flavor. Next, I move on to my 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm using Azure Standard unbleached flour, but you can use any all-purpose flour. You might be able to put in a mixture of whole wheat flour if you wanted a little healthier grain in your Dutch baby. As I start making a big mess, I realized that the bowl that I tried to use is a little bit too small, so I had to move up into a bigger bowl so that I could properly mix my batter together. You want your batter to be really well mixed. In fact, it would have been better if I would have put it in my stand mixer and whipped it up a little bit. That would have created a fluffier Dutch baby. I was being lazy and I only wanted to use my whisk, so I just blended it by hand. While the batter was resting for 10 minutes, I melted 4 tablespoons of butter in my cast iron skillet. You can use a cast iron skillet or a Dutch oven. I guess that's why it's called a Dutch baby, because a lot of people make it in their Dutch oven. So you pour your batter into your melted butter, skillet or Dutch oven, and you bake it at 375 for 20 to 30 minutes. You want the edges to be nice and golden brown, and you want the the center to be no longer runny. It'll be a little bit softer than the edges, and the edges will fluff up and it will kind of rise out of the pan almost like a souffle does. So I've just pulled my Dutch baby out of the oven. I'm going to let it cool down. While it's cooling, I think I'll sprinkle it with a little bit of cinnamon, and then once it's fully cool, I'll add the fruit and dust it with some powdered sugar. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you didn't want to make a sweet dish, which could be used for breakfast or even a dessert, you could do a savory dish. Toppings like sausage, mushrooms, pepperoni, mozzarella cheese, onions, garlic, all of those things would help to create a savory dish. I hope you enjoyed this look at making a Dutch baby. If you decide to try it, please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Thank you for visiting Southwest Homestead.